place. Amen? Well, listen, so y'all can imagine that at the movies we're going to be talking about a movie. This week we're talking about Battleship. Who in here has seen that movie? Raise your hand. Okay, who in here has not seen that movie? The movie is an amazing movie. It really is. It's a really good movie. The burrito scene is one of my favorite scenes ever. I actually voted for the burrito scene instead of the greatest American scene because I like burritos a lot. One of the things that those scenes don't really show is what that movie is really all about. It doesn't tell the whole story of that movie. The guy that was in there that went to get the chicken burrito, his name is Alex Hopper, right? He was like this crazy booze hound of a little brother who was really no good for nothing, right? At least that's what it looked like on the outside. On the inside, he was just trying to measure up to his big brother, and he knew he never could, so he just didn't do anything with life. And so he took challenges like going and getting a chicken burrito for a pretty girl. That was like one of the biggest challenges in his life. Well, then, at the very end of that scene, you saw him in a bathtub with ice. He was underneath all that ice because he'd been tased, and he was in a whole lot of pain. If you've never been tased, I never have, but I've heard it is extremely painful. So he was underneath the ice, and his brother was just yelling at him, "You're no good, you're terrible, you're not good for anything, you're never going to amount to anything." And who in here, let me ask you a question, show of hands, who in here has been told that by somebody they care about? I'm going to raise my hand because I have been. Who in here has been told that by somebody you don't care about? Okay, I'll say we probably can all raise our hands to that one. But he was being told that by his brother. And so he pretty much assumed that's what his life was going to end up. But what happens next in the movie, which is pretty cool, is his brother forces him to get into the Navy. But so what Alex Hopper did, he got forced into the Navy. He got into the Navy, and he was still just really being a screw-up, right? He still was making bad choices and doing all kinds of bad things and just being the funny guy. Well, he ended up becoming a captain and helping his brother out on the ship anyways. And so he just ended up having all these things going on. Well, you know, there's no greater time in our lives than when we're challenged. It doesn't sound like you should amen that. But there is no greater time than when we're challenged in our lives. There's no greater time than when we're challenged and all of a sudden we have to realize that something is greater than us, and we need to rely on that something that is greater to be able to get through it. Amen? There's no greater time in growth. Because if it's not challenging us, it's not changing us. You guys get that? If we're not stepping forward into challenge, if it's not challenging us, it's not ever going to change us. We can't ever change without challenge. You guys get that? We can't ever grow without challenge. Does that make sense? You guys get that? Totally getting it? Okay. So there's a lot of different things that went on with Alex, and a lot of really strange things that probably would never happen in your life, but aliens attacked the earth. I don't think aliens are ever going to attack the earth where you guys are concerned, so I don't think you have to deal with it. But aliens attacked the earth. They just blew up the Navy. They blew up everything. And they all live in Hawaii, so there's a lot of Navy ships around there. His brother was on one. He was on one. And so they attacked, and they went after this one island where they had the tallest peak, and they were going to set up all their communications up there. Well, it just so happened that island was the one that his girlfriend was living on. So he had that he was dealing with. Then, as they started to attack these aliens, his brother got killed, right? And then all the other ships got blown up. So this guy was getting challenged from every which way. He was having to worry about his girlfriend on the island. The ships got blown up. His brother's dead. Okay? He's having to deal with all this, and all of a sudden he is put in the front to be the leader. Now here's a guy that has never been chosen to be a leader, has never thought in his head that he's a leader. Just like you can think about David, you can think about Paul, you can think about a lot of people in the Bible. You can even put yourself in this place. You've never thought about yourself as leading. You've never thought about yourself as going out and doing something great for God. And that's what he had thought. He never thought in a million years he was going to go out and do something great for God. He thought he was just going to be a normal, average Joe that was going to have some decent story at the end of his life. But that's not what he had planned, and that's not what God has planned for you. God has something so much greater planned. And so there's three things, I think, when you ask the question, how did the biggest loser come to save the world? I think there's three things we have to take away from this story. And it is, what was the tragedy and the challenge? What was his response? And who did he turn to? You guys get that? So when you look at your life, you ask yourself, what are the challenges? How did you respond to those? And who or what did you turn to? Sometimes when we get challenged in our lives, are there things that we turn to we shouldn't? Yes, no. I've turned to things that I shouldn't. I'll tell you what one of my biggest challenges was in my life. After I got married, I started drinking and doing drugs and a lot of different things. A lot of you guys know this, but I tried to split up my family through infidelity. I tried all kinds of things. I was faced with this challenge, and then all of a sudden my wife was going to leave me, and I had a choice to make. What was going to be my response? I could either continue to be the kind of deadbeat person that I was. I could continue to just keep making those bad decisions and being concerned about myself and doing those things to destroy myself, or I could respond in a different way. Right? And so, just like Alex Hopper did, he responded in a very positive way, and he started thinking about all the other people in his life. So that's what I did. I started thinking about all the other people in my life. I started thinking about my wife and my kid and my future kids and the future things that I was going to do in my life. And I went out on the curb and I asked God, I said, God, I don't know if you're real. I don't know if you are the real God like I was told when I was in Catholic church when I was a little kid. I don't know if Jesus is real. I don't know if any of this stuff is real. But if you're real, I need to hear from you. I need my family back, and I'm going to give you my life. That was my challenge, and that was my response. And in that very moment, something changed dramatically in my life. I literally went from my wife having to take me to the emergency room in the middle of the night because I was DTing from drugs and alcohol. Right? I was at that point. I went from there to not having any withdrawals whatsoever, completely clean off of alcohol and drugs. I stopped going to parties, and everything was like just like a lightning bolt in my life. It wasn't like a slow thing that happened in my life. It was like that moment I asked God to do something in my life, and He did it. And then 3 months later, at a little church that had a big dome on the top of it, it's called Kingsview Free Will Baptist Church, I accepted Jesus as my personal Lord and Savior. I realized really quick that God really was real, the Holy Spirit really was real, that Jesus really was real, and He really could change my life. And in 3 months, I gave my life to Jesus, and the thing that I dreamed about was being involved in ministry and loving on kids from the very beginning. Now, if you can imagine, if I dreamed about something and I wanted to do that thing and I wanted to love on kids, do you see where God brought me? I am not here by my own efforts. I am a city boy from southern Oklahoma City. I was born around the Capitol Hill area in Oklahoma City. I grew up in a Catholic church. There is zero reason in life why I should be in the middle of Seminole, Oklahoma, in a church that's just full of a bunch of crazy, amazing people doing crazy, amazing things. It is not by my effort. It's because I had a dream and I had a vision. And this guy had a dream and a vision. All of a sudden, his brother's dead. His girlfriend's on an island. She's about to die because they're about to start this big old satellite thing that's going to start all these big aliens coming down and killing everyone. Right? So he has a choice to make. He can either curl up in a little ball and not care, or he can do something about it. So what did he do in the greatest American clip? What did he do? He did something about it. What was his response? He got the boat. So what was the boat? What was that big boat? And what is the USS Missouri? Battleship. It's a battleship. It's a big boy. What was on the USS Missouri? That's right. He went after the one thing that was left that he had no clue how to operate. That's what he did. And I'm going to say what, guys? I'm going to tell you what. I think tonight, in our life, this is our battleship. I think we don't know how to operate this thing. As a matter of fact, I know a lot of you don't. When I was young and I first come to Christ, I had no clue what this thing meant. I would read it and it made no sense to me whatsoever. How many of you, when you guys read this, it fully makes sense? Raise your hand. It totally makes sense to you. How many of you need to understand more about this book? All right? How many of you would like to understand more about this book? This is our battleship. See, they get up on this battleship and something crazy happens. The big Samoan guy says something. But what he said was, he said, I don't know how to operate this thing. This thing is decades old. I know everything's analog. I don't know how to get it. And I think a lot of times we look at the Bible, we don't read it because we don't get it. We don't read it because we don't understand it. They went onto this ship and there was no way that they were going to be able to operate this thing on their own. I think sometimes as youth, and even as me, we live with God, we live by emotions. We go from emotional thing to emotional thing to emotional thing, whether it's a good or a bad thing. We go from emotions to emotions to emotions. We go to camp, and a lot of us have an amazing time at camp, right? And all these great things happen at camp, and then we come home, and life just unleashes on us, right? And a lot of us go back to doing the same things we were doing. A lot of us even get worse because Satan in life just throws the book at you. Because I don't think we understand anything about our battleship. I don't think we understand anything about how we can war, the tools that we have, the sword that we have. I don't think we get it. So let me ask you guys a question. When you saw that scene, how did they begin to understand about that battleship? What happened? Who was on the battleship? Talk to me, please. Huh? Veterans? Okay. Veterans that operated the ship is who was there. And that's why these beautiful people are in here tonight, because these are veterans of war that have operated this ship for a very long time. They don't fully understand this book, right? You can spend every waking minute of every waking hour in your prayer closet and you would never understand the fullness of who God is. Okay? But they get it. They've been through a lot in life and they understand a lot about this battleship. They understand how to open it up. They understand how to use the things, the tools that it has. They understand how to open up those big guns and go against sin in life. They understand all this stuff. And I think I remember being a kid. It wasn't a long time ago. I'm almost 44. That's bad. I forget how old I am. I'm almost 44 years old. I still feel like a kid inside. And I still don't want anybody's help. As a man, I still don't want to read instructions. Right? But all of these guys are here to help you. I'm here to help you. Amanda's here to help you. Mike and Charlene are here to help you. Sean and Mark and Eric are here to help you. And Tim and all the elders. And everyone is here to help you guys and help you understand how to operate the battleship. I think it's too many times in too many churches, the youth group kind of gets separated from the rest of the church. And not on purpose. I think it just happens because of an age problem. But see, in this church, they love you. They want to bring you in. They want to hold you close. So when you're let go, when you're shot out of God's bow, you go out and you can do amazing things. But you guys have to understand that you need to rely on them. Are y'all getting this? You can't look at adults like they're just some old people on a battleship. They don't know nothing. I got this newfangled battleship. See? I got this newfangled ship. You just push a button and it thinks for you and it does all this stuff. You guys have a lot of things that think for you that do it on its own. Guess what? That's not the way this works. You can't open this up and it thinks for you. Right? You have to get in the battleship. You have to operate it. You have to know what you're doing. Right? Open it up. Read a verse. You don't understand the verse? You pray about it. And then you can go talk to someone. That's what I do. I go and talk to Tim, or I talk to one of the elders, or I talk to someone that has helped me in my life and ask them to explain it to me. I ask one of the veterans. The veterans have poured so much into my life, guys. I would not be where I'm at today if I didn't have mentors that have loved me and walked me through a lot of things. And I know for talking to y'all, texting y'all at 2 o'clock in the morning, walking through a bunch of stuff that you guys walk through, that there's some heavy, heavy stuff that you guys walk through. Like, way heavier than I could have ever walked through as a teenager. And we want to help you walk through it. It may not be an overnight thing like what happened to me. It may be. But at the end of the day, if you don't start making steps, if you don't start opening up the battleship, if you don't start coming against those things and relying on the people that really do love you and really want to help you, we're not going to get anywhere. You guys understand that? Did you know those battleships, I don't know what they weighed or anything, but they weighed like 3 times as much as current battleships. Right? Everything was analog on, there was nothing digital. The guns were bigger, they took more fuel, they took a lot of things, and so the younger people really thought they were out of date, so that's why they turned them into museums. And I have a feeling, a lot of times, would you guys please get off your phones and stuff? I have a feeling a lot of times you guys feel like that's what an older generation is. They're kind of a museum. They have old thoughts, old ways, they're old-fashioned. Purity, yeah, we don't need